This is the Weighing In podcast with Rick and Jina. This podcast is a collaboration between Empower Weight Loss and Lifestyle Coaching and Next Step Lifestyle Coaching.
In this episode, we revisit the weight loss meds to discuss our experience with program members on the meds, where we cover the reduction in so-called food noise, the very real differences in how people respond to these meds, and the fact that if and when you come off of them, there are real challenges to be met. We also cover the key takeaways on this topic from my interview with endocrinologist and longtime colleague, Dr. Ned Weiss. Stay tuned as what we're learning about the weight loss meds is up next. All right, Jina, so here we are, and we've decided that it is time. It's been quite a few weeks since we did our first podcast on the weight loss meds. And since then, you've worked with a lot of your folks who are taking them. Same here with our program. We did an interview with Dr. Ned Weiss, who heads up two different weight management programs out of New Jersey. We can talk a little bit more about Ned, who's just a wonderful guy and a fantastic caring physician.
Great interview.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I kind of want to tap into some of the things that struck you about that interview, and we'll post the link to that interview in the show notes.
Yes.
But what I was thinking is I've been preparing, we're actually having a pretty big town hall discussion with all of our program members. We've even invited people who worked with us in the past to come back and just to maybe learn more, because this is real, whether you are considering it or are on them or don't think they're for you, it's still an area. The weight loss meds, the GLP-1 medications are something that you want to learn more about.
Yep.
And to
have a conversation around it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we all need to refine our thinking. I did share with you, just in preparation for that, we're trying to go through some of the recent stories, studies on this, and there's just too many. There are just too many. I showed you how many that I just put on a single slide.
Yeah.
Prescription access crisis. 40% of GLP-1 RA prescriptions are unfilled. Weight loss drugs show a remarkable and unexpected side effect in a new study. New studies, so many studies. GLP-1s work, but when they're stopped, the effects stop too, expert says. I mean, I could just go on and on. There's just so many news stories here. What's been your experience recently with your program members vis-a-vis the weight loss meds?
Well, I think for us, so I have a number of my members who are using GLP-1s, and that's great. And, they work. They work really well. And I think the thing that I get from most people that they love is that it stops the food noise. I think that's the thing that people love and want and wish for. And people lose weight, and it's a tool that helps to facilitate learning the healthy lifestyle behaviors that they need to.
Is that you saying that, or are people embracing the structure that you provide to practice healthy lifestyles while using the meds as a bit of a respite?
I think that it's both. I mean, I can see that it's easier for them to embrace it. That's what it seems like from my perspective. But I think, so here's my issue is that I think, and it's funny because we're having a town hall too. See, this is why you and I are so aligned, Rick, because we do think alike. Ours is next week, similar conversation with all of our members. And really ours is going to be, why is it important for you to continue to work on making long-lasting lifestyle changes, even if you're taking them? And anybody can contribute to this conversation. So this is a nice way for us to unpack that conversation before we both dive into our own town halls. But I think what I'm seeing a lot from my members is that they're using them, they're working, but then there are a few who have come off of them for whatever various reasons, and they do struggle a little bit. And so, I'm kind of learning as I go as well. I know
we all are
about them, the science of them, but in terms of the experiences that people are having, I feel like I'm learning as we go because everybody's different. So while somebody may stop the med and have enough good, healthy behaviors in place that they're okay, some people don't, or they really need a little bit more time to refine those habits. And everyone's different. So I think that's worth noting. I don't think that's true for everyone. I hate to make like a blanket statement. I just do. But I think every human being is different, but those have been sort of my experiences. But I will also say, and just in full disclosure, I think the messaging out there that, at least as I understand it, is that, or what I'm feeling is that people are thinking that because they can now get access to these medications, and it's a little easier than it used to be, whether they're able to get it covered through insurance, it's a little bit less expensive, or maybe they're getting it online, because that's a big thing. The messaging is wrong. And the messaging is that this is the answer. This is the beyond the end all. People just want the easy fix still. They want the quick, convenient. And I get that. I understand that. But I think when the messaging is wrong, people suffer in the end. And I think that's the big thing I need for people to understand.
Yeah. You can get them at Costco now. Have you seen that? Yes.
Costco. I have not.
Yes.
Oh my.
So
what, through their pharmacy?
Yeah, yeah, it must be that. But just like the idea of, Costco or BJ's or these sort of large stores, it just doesn't seem right. But it's just the way of the world. Yeah, I've had the same experience. We've had people who have gone on the medications, and then there's a whole continuum. You've got people who it's the most incredible experience. I'm thinking of one person in particular who has been talking about the deafening silence about the food noise and had no idea what she was dealing with. Similar to that, someone else described it as, I'm no longer thinking about my next meal while I'm eating my current meal. Right. I thought that was very interesting. So it's really, however you want to define food noise or food chatter, it's a preoccupation with food, the next food, et cetera, et cetera. And I have to say, I can relate to that. I think about food all the time.
Right. And I can appreciate why that must feel so good for people who have struggled for so many years with their weight that all of a sudden now they just don't, they're free from, it must feel very freeing.
Yes.
And I can completely respect how that must just be the best feeling in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
And for some, it might even be slightly virtuous. Like, look at me, for the first time in my life, like I have willpower, which isn't really willpower, but like they equate it to that.
Right. Yeah.
It's just so empowering, like I get it.
You can also see how if people aren't in a coaching loop, don't have the proper guidance, how it could actually be reinforcing the wrong behaviors, false sense of security around not just food, but more, hey, the cheeseburger and fries aren't calling to me quite so much. I can just have a few and be satisfied. And look at all the weight I'm losing. That is a net negative. Especially, at some point there's a blunting effect that that happens. People, the longer they're on them, but then also most people, as we've talked about before, they don't stay on them in the long term.
Right. And the other thing, just to piggyback on what you said, when people don't have the food noise, they're thinking less about food, they're not as hungry, their stomach is feeling more full, all the benefits. To your point about the cheeseburger and fries, they still need to learn how to eat in a way that's giving their body the nutrition that it needs. Because what you don't want is to lose weight and be malnourished, which is a little bit extreme. I mean, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but point being, you have to eat enough protein, you have to eat enough carbs. Your body needs glucose to survive.
Right.
But it needs to learn how to do it the right way. And that's where the coaching comes in. And that's where the emphasis on fiber comes in, and the emphasis on protein that we work with our members on, that a lot of people aren't getting out there. And that's to a disadvantage. And you can be skinny, but you're not going to be healthy. And then where are we? So it's
Largely, I think the average person who goes on the weight loss meds is doing it mostly in some version of a self-directed fashion. And that just opens up all sorts of variability. In fact, let's talk a little bit about the interview that I did with Dr. Weiss. I mean, one of the things, you mentioned a few things that struck you. One of them was that he's very strong on the need for coaching if you're on the weight loss med. Of course, when you're not on the weight loss meds, for sure. But when you're on the weight loss meds, the coaching is absolutely essential. What struck you about that in his comments?
Well, I love that he said, and I mean, it really made me reevaluate my role as a coach. He said, even the people who are the best elite athletes, and of course, I thought of Tom Brady. He thought of Michael Jordan, but Tom Brady comes to mind for us New England people.
Yes, we're a little biased, maybe.
Yes, we are. But he was coached continuously, always, even when he was the GOAT, when he was winning not World Series. I'm thinking of the game last night.
Super
Bowl, right? So he was coached and did coaching work and did drills like all the time. He didn't just rest on his laurels like, oh, look at me, I'm the best, I don't need to refine my skill anymore. So I loved that line, and it is a skill. And I love that he pointed that out, because that's old school training that you and I got back in the day.
Yes.
That losing weight and keeping it off is truly a skill. And no one thinks of it like that.
Yeah, of course, my brain, of course I went to Tom Brady, but being a tennis player, I also went to, the big three, Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, but I am kind of dating myself with them. The two new ones now, the best players are Alcaraz and Sinner. They all have coaches. And what strikes me, I look at them, they can interact now. It's allowed. It used to not be allowed in the major tournaments. You couldn't interact with you. Now you can. I can't believe how often there's coaching going back and forth and communication. And these people, it's like they need coaches. Are you kidding me?
Right.
They're like perfection on the court, and yet they have coaches too.
Right.
So to Ned's point, the coaching is huge.
Yeah.
Now, just let's drill down just a little bit more on the coaching part of this. You may remember, I always love to quote this survey. When about 5 years ago, we did a survey across 60 different program member groups. So that's a lot of program members. 15 per group, something like that. What is the most valuable aspect of the coaching sessions? So let's say you're on the weight loss medications. Do you think any of these could be useful? Accountability. Huge. Accountability is the gateway to accomplishing anything if you've got enough accountability.
Right.
So they're
And
still
I think
trying to
that's always the number one answer. Always.
Oh, it was. It was actually, the word accountability was in more than half of the survey responses. Yeah. More than half. Yeah. Motivation and inspiration. The coaching can provide that. Is there any human being that doesn't benefit or value that? Being inspired? Being motivated? Fantastic. I mean, the weight loss, and when you're on your own, I mean, it's there, but everyone has their ebbs and flows and their ups and downs.
Right.
Strategies, ideas, and how-tos. I mean, if you're just doing this in a self-directed way, you've got a glass ceiling on all of those things. Mm-hmm. And then my favorite comment, one that kind of struck us by surprise, in our coaching sessions, yours, mine, all of ours, because we really support people in practicing the same program, the non-judgmental environment.
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. So that's what people get, and that's what people need. They need it.
Yes.
And I don't care if so here's the thing. Weight loss medications or no weight loss medications. That's what's needed for people to successfully lose weight and keep it off. Because things also evolve. Their lives evolve. Their lives change. They go through ups and downs in their lives, as you know. We work with members long enough to know. We see them through the seasons,
Yes.
We go through changes, and we learn new information and new data and new facts to bring to them. And science changes, and it should. And we need to keep them on top of that. And that's sort of works really well together. So
Absolutely. And let's not underplay what people are trying to do here. Medications or not. We're trying to practice behaviors that are, how many times do we talk about this? Wholly unsupported by the culture.
right,
Basically the opposite behaviors.
right,
You know, fruits and veggies are lower than they've ever been. We've
right.
never moved less. So we're trying to go against the cultural tide in so many different ways. And then you've got the unholy interaction between the culture, let's just say temptation, and the human brain, our physiology.
Right.
I mean, when you're wanting the cupcakes and eating more after you're full, that's your brain and your physiology working the way it's supposed to be working.
Right.
So that's just a terrible negative synergy between the unhealthy food environment and our inherited tendencies. So, of course, people need more external accountability, more ideas and how-tos, coaching support.
Mm-hmm. I asked my members last night in class, I said, do you guys think that the food environment has gotten easier or harder?
Well,
And they,
isn't there
without
only...
a doubt,
Yes.
well, and I said, because we were talking about, someone asked, like, it just seems like we spend a lot of time and money on losing weight in this culture. And I was like, yes, you're right, we do, in fact. And I said, unfortunately, I think we may be at our heaviest. I mean, maybe there's a little weight loss, but especially now with our kids, we're seeing it, right? And that's when that question came up, and they said, unequivocally, they all said, harder. And I said, isn't that interesting? So here we're spending more money.
Yeah.
And it's getting harder. So people are up against it. So you want to lose weight. You really do. And you should, and your health is compromised, but the culture and the food and everywhere you go. I mean, now it's Halloween season, like next week is Halloween, right? So
yes,
like everywhere you go, there's candy everywhere you go. Right? Do you notice that?
Oh my God, yeah. So
right?
I stumbled upon a survey. It almost strains credulity. I'm not going to get the facts exactly right just because I filed it really quickly, but a scary high percentage of people buy their Halloween candy twice.
Yeah.
Because they go through it. And a not insubstantial, I think it was 25%, buy it more than twice. That is quite something. Of course, when it's out in July, the Halloween candy, you could be forgiven for maybe getting into it because it's sitting there.
Well, and it's out in July, and it's buy two, get one free, or buy two, get two free. So you think, I'll just stock up.
Yep.
It's the whole thing.
Yes.
And I get it. I think I'd probably think the same thing. It's human nature.
Yes.
So it plays right into our hand, doesn't it?
And how about how much better you feel, or I should say how much less worse you feel if you have 3 bite-sized Snickers versus just, I'm just going to have a big one. Even if they're the exact same.
That's true.
There's no way you can convince your brain that you've done just a little bit better with the 3 versus the 1.
Yeah, the games we play.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think I really believe it's a messaging problem. So like, I am not going to badmouth the medications. I think they're great. They work. They're revolutionary, and they are going nowhere. And they're going nowhere fast. In other words, we're now going to have a pill. There's a third medication called retatrutide. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's a triple agonist. That's all the rage, and that's going to be coming out soon and get FDA approval. I mean, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So we've got to all learn to work together nicely. We've all got to learn to play nicely in the sandbox, as they say. But it's a messaging issue from my experience. And that's what I want to accomplish on this podcast today and in our town halls, is that if you choose to take them, and by all means, that's your choice.
Yes.
You and your doctor, whatever. And I'm not going to tell you not to, but you need to be working with a coach so that you can be developing those skills that are going to support you when and if you decide to come off of it, because you probably will, unless you're diabetic. Without judgment, no judgment here, just facts.
Yeah. One of our members who has had just a stunningly positive experience with the meds, she's very science-based. So she did a lot of research. really nerded out, as she likes to say, and learned everything that she could. She decided to, she sought out an obesity treatment specialist who works with her very closely. A full hour every 60 days, I believe. And one of the things I really appreciate is that she talks about the synergy between what we provide, which is more than a big contact every 60 days. It's the every week,
Yep.
boots on the ground work of
Yep.
positive lifestyle change and practicing healthy habits. But I just thought that was really interesting. So she says she wouldn't do it any differently, and this is what she's going to recommend, I think, in the town hall. Find someone who like really knows their stuff and that you can spend some time with, because they
Right.
do cover some different things than what we cover in our
Right.
program. But then
Right.
you have all of what we do to support,
Right.
the ongoing problem solving and
Right. That
practice.
almost seems like a great marriage because they may cover more of the sciencey,
Yes.
physiological stuff, and we cover the more behavior, lifestyle
Right.
stuff. And what a great marriage that is. That's great.
Yes. Yeah. And boy, oh boy, speaking of the sciencey stuff, I mean, I love science. I love digging into
Me
a
too.
meaty article, but even the podcasts, when you hear experts talking now, I reach the limit of my understanding very quickly.
Yeah.
Once they get super granular, like you and I listen to Peter Attia's podcast, The Drive, which is highly recommended, very science oriented.
Mhm.
But boy, I mean, I'll be sitting there, forget trying to exercise when you're listening, because I'm always like, where's a piece of paper? I have to write this down.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of science there.
Let's come back to the Ned interview. You had another thing that and I thought I liked that you picked up on it, because he kind of caught me by surprise a little bit with it, which is he introduced the idea potentially of using the medications strategically. In other words, be a little bit more of a nimble application of the meds, as opposed to you go on them once, ironclad, you're on them for the rest of your life. Which, to be fair, I mean, that kind of was the way it was presented earlier on.
Yep.
So what was your reaction to Ned presenting this more sort of flexible approach potentially
Yeah.
to using these?
Well, in full disclosure, I had kind of heard of that as a strategy prior to, so it was interesting that he reinforced it, because when you hear something once, you always second guess it, especially if it's coming from like a podcast or something, not that podcasts aren't correct, but you just want to get more of a backing of that. So when he reinforced it, I thought, oh, that's interesting. That's actually, that makes sense to me, because so to your point, I think people thought I have to go on it. And here's what I always heard people say: if I go on it, I have to be on it for the rest of my life.
Right.
And that was a reason people didn't want to go on.
Right.
And which is interesting. And then I would say to people, no, that's actually not true. You can go on it for a set amount of time and come off of it, but you will really have to work on changing your habits when you're on it, and work with me and all that. But then he took it a step further when he said, so I think he even said, if you're like, the holidays are coming and it's going to be particularly difficult, you can, use it as another tool in the toolbox. And I do think that's an interesting strategy and an application almost of the medication that we don't talk about all the time, but that is interesting to me and could potentially be another. It's almost like in phase 2, going back and saying, I'm going to have a few phase 1 days. So in our program, we have phase 1, which is sort of the weight loss, more structured, limited choices phase, which produces a bit more weight loss. And then phase 2, which is, open to more choices, lean proteins and all of that. And sometimes in phase 2, because there's more choices, people struggle. So so to me, it's sort of like that, going back into phase 1 or the more structured program for a little while to get a leg up.
Yes.
So it made me think of that, but I think it's a really interesting application of the medicine combined with the program. Am I making sense? Yeah.
Yeah, you are. I hear everything you're saying. One of the things I hope we're not doing is overstating what he was suggesting. He may have been pitching that just to swing the pendulum a little bit. I'm sure that, he wouldn't probably want us thinking that it's sort of a revolving door, on
Right.
them, off them, on them, off them. I don't think you'd want to do that with any medication.
Right.
You know.
Right. But I did think that was interesting. And I think just going back to the bigger point, you don't have to be on them for the rest of your life. They can be used strategically. They can be used in a timely fashion. But they have to be paired with some kind of coaching and some kind of program where you're learning the skills around lifestyle. And
Yeah.
he stressed that significant, like that was a big part of his exercise and, calories. He talked a lot about the importance of calories, which was so reinforcing
Yes.
because in today's world, the messaging is so far away from calories. It's do this diet or do that diet. And that was very reinforcing for an old school person like me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I want to definitely come back to that because the third
Mhm.
area that struck you with that interview is when we talked about some of the foods that
Yeah.
are directed to the GLP-1 users. But
Yeah.
one more thing on that. Is there an analogy here, Gina, with, let's just say, cholesterol meds? So how many times have you worked with someone in your program and they make lifestyle changes and they come off of their cholesterol meds or their blood pressure meds
Right.
or their diabetes medication? You get my point,
Yeah,
right?
I
You,
do.
you can, you could, there's the possibility of managing medical risk factors, of which weight is one, with lifestyle. So when I look at that and say, well, let's not treat these that differently from other meds in terms of how we approach it, it starts to make a lot more sense.
Yes.
What he was saying. And then let's just say life happens. Let's say you take a break from the program and you fall into average American habits, gain weight. What happens to cholesterol? Well, it goes back up. What's your physician going to say? Well, I probably need to restart cholesterol medication. So I think that if you kind of look at the weight loss meds through the filter of many other meds, it makes a little bit more sense.
Great point. That's a really great point. I didn't think of it that way. That's a really, really good point. That's exactly right.
Yep.
I like that. Yeah.
Yep.
The health halo, the foods you were gonna.
Oh, yes. So, well, let me read a headline for you, which I just read this morning. There was a whole article on this. The next food marketing blitz is aimed at people on new weight loss drugs. Yes. So as you go through the article, you ready? Your head's going to explode.
Oh no.
Oh, yes. Protein pizza.
Oh yeah. Protein pizza.
I mean, okay, let's work with the positive. Protein is an issue, right? Protein is an issue.
Important.
So we want people to not be underproteinized as they're just buying into that indoctrinated, if I can get by with eating nothing, that's the biggest victory I can have. No, you're trying to build a healthy diet. So the protein in the pizza, that's great. But do you have any concerns about this? Let's
But you're
just
so
say,
funny. You're trying to be so kind. The
thank
protein
you.
in the pizza is great. Oh, do I have any concerns? Sure. You're eating pizza. Like, what are you learning? What's it reinforcing? I mean, right?
Yes.
And not that pizza's bad, but it's just the messaging is
False sense of security
Yes.
again. And what if you come off of these drugs and pizza, the Domino's isn't that different from the protein pizza, right? Yeah.
What we need to be reinforcing is how to get your protein through your lean proteins and your fish and your chicken and your eggs and your nuts and your seeds and learning portion around those and fruits and vegetables and fiber. You said Americans don't eat anywhere near enough fruits and vegetables. Well, then it's no surprise that, Americans are lacking in the fiber department as well.
That's right. Right. Couple of the examples that Ned and I covered, just to sort of underscore them.
Yeah.
So the 400 calorie pizza, that's not so bad, but with 40% of your saturated fat and sodium for the day, that's not so good. But I think the winner from that conversation was the smoothie.
Yes.
The Keto Champ. It's right in the title, the GLP-1 berry smoothie. It's called that.
Right.
38 grams of saturated fat, 2 days worth right there.
Wow.
And 890 calories.
That's crazy. And, kudos to these companies for jumping on the marketing bandwagon because they're smart. It works. Because you know the funny thing about it, I had a member who was so excited because she found these GLP-1 frozen dinners.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever, lean cuisine. And again, I'm not knocking them. I'm sure they're great. And so she read the ingredients, or she sent me the nutrition label. And I thought, well, this is exactly what's in one of our ready-made meals. Yet ours don't say GLP-1 approved. Like, so if ours
maybe
said
they
that,
should.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
should.
kudos to these companies for jumping on the bandwagon because it sells.
So 2 points on the health halos. Okay. So first of all, this has been happening for decades. So I'm going to show you a slide. Okay. And I'll show it on the, I'll edit it in as well. This is from, I don't know, the 50s maybe.
Oh yeah. Vitamin donuts. That's
Vitamin
awesome.
donuts for pep and vigor.
For pep and vigor.
Vitamin donuts.
Those are words we use today. Pep and vigor.
Oh yes. So June Cleaver is buying vitamin donuts because she's being run by the health halo just as much as someone with the GLP-1 berry shake is being run by the health halo. Okay. So now my next point about health halos. Sister Jina, may I confess? It's this true confessions time.
Yes.
My wife has stumbled upon a new line of chips. Have you seen these? Mi Niña.
No.
So, okay, you probably won't be surprised to know that they're delicious. Okay, so you'd expect this gluten-free. Okay, health halo, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a whole other one.
You just even if you don't need to have any sort of gluten sensitivity, intolerance, or anything to feel better eating them because there's no gluten. But the one that got me, you ready?
Oh boy.
Little stamp on every single one of them. 100% whole grain.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there you go.
I cannot tell you. I know fair is fair. They're in the house. I've gotten into them more than I want. I sit there and I say, I feel better because I know they're 100% whole grain. I know rationally what's going on, but emotionally it doesn't make a bit of difference. I feel better.
It reminds me of, remember Triscuits?
Yes.
So my mom used to buy low-fat Triscuits.
Oh, good.
And she had no problem eating the whole box because they were low-fat Triscuits.
Yeah.
But same thing, right? Same thing.
100%. Boy, can you make Triscuits taste worse? I guess lowering the fat. I've never a big Triscuit fan.
I was never a big Triscuits fan either, but so the doctor says to you, "Hey, Rick, are you getting your whole grains?" Well, yes, doc, I am.
Yes, bags of them, actually, doctor. Forgive my weight gain.
Right, exactly.
So those are your big three takeaways from the interview with Ned. Again, watch it; it's a good one. You'll hear from someone who knows his stuff, endocrinologist, but also is one of the best health role models who I know and who was ever in our whole system. Very impressive guy.
Yeah, you guys had a great rapport, the two of you. Good friendship, you can tell.
Yeah, nice. we went back quite a few.
Can I tell you a couple things I wrote down that I want to share before we end? So I love that he said something along the lines of about moderation. Everyone says moderation, and I loved, and I'm going to use this more, that he said it's not about moderation, it's about balance. And that makes so much more sense because it's like, okay, if you're going to have the pizza or if you're going to have the ice cream, balance it with something else. It's not about learning to eat the pizza in moderation. Asking a human to eat pizza in moderation or ice cream in moderation when they haven't done that for 45 years is like next to impossible. But to then say to that same person, okay, you're going to eat the pizza, but now let's balance that. Totally different. I loved that. So I thought that was a great point.
Thank you. I forgot about that, and I loved that point. It's just such a more well thought out way of looking at consumption.
Totally. Yeah. So that's a good one for people who are listening to take away. And then just the way he ended, he said, "We are on a mission to push beyond the alternative messages to bring people incredible weight management." And I just like that. We're on a mission.
That's great.
To basically change the message. Like, we want you to be healthy. We want you to have the best life. It's about calorie balancing. If you take the meds, great, but you've got to learn these habits. You can't leave them behind. I mean, it just was such a good way to end it. So yeah, I thought he was great. I really liked it.
That's really great. Really, really good. That might be a good place to end it.
Yeah,
Right there.
sure. This was good.
Yeah. Well, again, it's always just the tip of the iceberg, isn't it?
Yes. This
Especially in this
conversation,
area.
we will have another conversation about this
Yeah.
conversation. Don't you think?
I think after our respective town hall meetings, I think
Yes.
part 3 will be in order. I think that we'll have a lot more to bring to the table for a third conversation on the weight loss
Absolutely.
meds.
Yeah. I'm so excited for you. I'm excited for us. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, sounds
All right,
good.
this is great.
I will
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the time, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.